Hello Goblins, it's Chris, Eldritch Pipes, with Dear Eldritch. I'm smoking very lovely Tilbury. Such a nice blend. The Virginias taste almost caramelised. That's the way I seem to taste it. Before we get to the questions though, let's see some pipes I've been working on. Why not? So if you're impatient for the questions, just settle down there. We'll get there. The first is a Dr. Silent. Sandblasted, look at the ring grain on that fellow. He's just mental. Really closely packed. This is with blue Cumberland. Flattery rim. Ring grain, ring grain, ring grain. There you go. A black sandblast reading pipe. The next one, you might notice a theme. It's also a black sandblast. And again, some really tight ring grain. I just seem to have hit a patch of closely packed ring-grained briar for some reason. I don't know why. Not my rating. This is acrylic and is an SOB to carve. He's nearly done. I know he looks done. I think that's called Pink Crush. But he's going to have some long spikes put in him, her, them. So, I nearly had another one to show you in guess what finish. Could have been a black sandblast, but I didn't finish the stem in time. It's going to be, you see I just started staining there. It's going to be a Slender Man, and it's going to have the copper Cumberland stem. It should be finished tomorrow. So if anyone is interested, if that sounds interesting to someone, get in contact with me because it'll be available. Other than that, I'll probably be posting it on social media tomorrow at some point. All right. That's it for pipes. On to the questions. Dear Eldritch, what three people would you most like to see enjoying an Eldritch pipe? Choose one living, one dead, and one fictional. Cheers, Nathan Cockrell. What an interesting question. I would like to see the whole world enjoying an Eldritch pipe. But actually, for someone living, I do have someone. Actually, I have two people. So maybe I'm cheating on these questions. Just this first one. In England, there's a comedian called oh my god. His name is just totally went thump out of my brain. He's in Black Books. Bill Bailey. Why did his name just disappear? Bill Bailey smokes a pipe. He should have an Eldritch pipe. Because he's a super freak as well. But my number one guy that I'd like to see smoke a pipe is the actor Crispin Glover. I've got no idea if he smokes a pipe. Probably doesn't. But he's super weird and does great films. If you've seen Willard, where he sort of like makes friends with a white rat. It's so good. So yeah, Crispin Glover. As for real person, not alive, I'm afraid I'm going to have to be a bit predictable on that. It would have to be Lovecraft. But he had 0 vices. Didn't drink, didn't smoke. So in reality it would be unlikely. But he should have smoked a pipe, I feel. And fictional character, I'm going to have to be a bit predictable again and say Dr. John Silence. He was the first character I think I came across that smoked a pipe who was kind of like weird, because Dr. Silence's whole world is weird. Who smoked a pipe. In addition, he also has a cat and dog called Smoke and Flame. I think, oddly, the dog is called Flame and the cat is called Smoke. Or maybe that is right. Cats were being elusive, I guess, like smoke. I hope that answers your question, Nate. Dear Eldritch, what are your recommendations for maintaining an Eldritch pipe? Mine looks splendid. Good. And I would like to keep it looking that way. Tracy Belt. Hi, Tracy. Right. I've got 2 products to show you. I've used both of them off and on. One is useful to know if you're in the States. One is useful to know if you're anywhere else. So, this is actually one of the first products I picked up, funny enough. I don't know how. I think it was just because I hadn't bothered maintaining my pipes that well when I first started. And this was the first product I ever found that was meant to help. It is, if you can see, Halcyon 2 wax. As opposed to Halcyon wax, which is for smooth pipes. Although, if you've got a smooth Eldritch pipe, then Halcyon wax. If it's a sandblast or any other kind of rustification, that's a word, any other kind of rustication, Halcyon 2 wax. You apply it very thinly, otherwise it will collect in the little grooves and things, and then it will dry white, and then you've got trouble on your hands. But other than that, great product. If you're not in the States, in the UK, for example, Renaissance wax. For some reason, you can only get it in these absolutely massive tins, so this is like a lifetime supply there. And yeah, I've been using this tin for absolutely yonks, and I've hardly got anywhere in it. So, Renaissance wax. Hope that helps. You can, if you are going to, after you put the wax on, if you want to buff it off, you need to use a lint-free cloth, something soft. Don't use a paper towel, something like that. That will just like leave fluff and fibres all over your pipe. You don't want that. Finally, and it is kind of finally, well, it's one questioner, several questions. So, You have to break this down a bit. Maybe I need some coffee. Hang on. Can't just dive right in there. There's about 4 questions to answer. So let's take this one at a time. This is, and I hope I'm saying this right, from, it's either Joe Winkowski or Joe Winchowski. I'm not so sure how the CK is pronounced. Winkowski, maybe. Question 1. How many pipes should I have? Oh, I should say, I'm kind of paraphrasing these questions because it was a really lovely email from Joe, and there was a lot of information in it, and I'm condensing it down for this section. How many pipes should I have? And should you have separate pipes for different tobacco styles, aromatics, vapours, Englishes, and the like? Well, how many pipes should you have? Partly that's down to how often do you smoke. If you smoke every day, then enough to let your each pipe rest for at least a day before smoking it again. So minimum 3, really. I've heard minimum 2. But you're really going to gum them up pretty fast. The other question is, how long do you want your pipes to last? If you've just got 2 pipes, you're really going to, and you're smoking them every other day, they're going to age quite fast at that rate. In the end, if you enjoy the hobby, you'll naturally have a bunch. Some people say 7, 1 for every day. That's not a need. That's a preference. More importantly is pipes for tobacco styles. This comes down to your palate and your preference. Aromatics are going to ghost a pipe. So if the last thing you smoked was some salted caramel abomination, and then in English, you're going to get that sort of echoing through the English smoke, which you may find you like. But generally you probably wouldn't want it, not if the English is kind of one of your favourites. Englishes don't ghost a pipe, but obviously that smoky tobacco is going to ultimately get absorbed into the briar. And so if you like Virginias or vapours, it's going to affect what you're tasting. So it's just something to keep in mind. I think on the score of different styles, having at least 3 pipes. So 1 for your aromatics, 1 for your Englishes, 1 for everything else. Because a vapour isn't going to ghost a pipe. I wouldn't have thought. I've never come across one that has. Classically, the things that ghost a pipe are things with flavourings. Usually. Alright, second question. Before you started making your own pipes, what brand of pipes did you purchase? And what shapes did you gravitate to? Do you still have them? I went for Peterson to start with. And then I got a few Savinellis and a couple of Stanwells. And I think I gravitated, funnily enough, towards sort of Rhodesian or Bulldog styles at first. Although the Stanwell that I've got is a Hans Christian Andersen one, which is like a Sherlock Holmes pipe kind of affair. Almost calabash sort of shape, that kind of style. I've only ever dropped one pipe and broke it. So every other pipe I've bought, I've still got. And I know that two are Petersons for sure. Oh, I've got a couple of Butts Choquin as well. I had a phase where I was using the 9mm charcoal filters, and I've got two. They're called Noir. Something Noir. I can't remember what they're called. But they're the ones that are kind of like have got black rings in them. Very good. I do smoke them occasionally, but the mouth pieces on them are really large and uncomfortable, so I don't smoke them that much these days. I'm just looking over at my collection, seeing what else I've got. I've got a couple of cobs that I use for taste comparisons. Okay. Starts flame war. And there were a bunch of other questions from Joe, but I'll answer those in an email, Joe. The last one that I'll answer on here is, he gave me a background on how he got into pipes, which was really lovely, and asked how did I get into pipe smoking. Well, I smoked cigarettes from my teens, from about 16. And I decided somewhere in my mid-20s that I wanted to kick that habit. And I did for a year. So I took a year break from smoking. But I really wanted to smoke, frankly. But I didn't like being addicted. And I was with smoking cigarettes. It was just one of those things. I knew I wasn't a heavy smoker. I've never been a heavy smoker. But I think I got my cigarette smoking down to 6 a day, but I couldn't get below 6. I just couldn't do it. It was beyond my power. So when I kicked that, and I thought, yeah, but I want to smoke, but I want to be in control of the smoking. I thought I will try a pipe and see what happens. And I just found that I could happily smoke a pipe and not smoke it for weeks until I wanted to smoke it again. I mean, I smoke most days now, but the point is that when it gets to like a summer holiday or going somewhere, I don't have to pack a pipe. I'll still put down the pipe for weeks at a time, because it's just something that I enjoy. It's not a compulsion. And that's the attraction that pipe smoking has to me. And that's how I got into it. So it was really from a love of smoking, because I love the flavours of smoking. And it's such a comforting thing to do, that I needed to find a way that worked for me. Cigarettes didn't. And cigars don't work for me. I don't get cigars. I smoked some expensive cigars, thinking that maybe smoking cheap cigars was what meant that I was failing to appreciate what cigars were all about. But the fact is just that the cigar flavour profile just doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't hit that pleasure button. Oh no, I said pleasure button. Can't take that back. But you know what I mean. I smoke a cigar and it doesn't do anything for me. I go, yep, that was a cigar. I think it occurs to me, maybe I should smoke a cigar every 5 years or something. I go, maybe my palate has changed and maybe I'll enjoy it this time. And then I smoke one and I go, no. So that's it. I think we've exhausted that question. I hope that answers your questions, Joe. That's it for this week's Dear Eldritch. I've still got a video to do on bending the Cumberland, and I'm working away on the pipe maker video, on the first one of those. So I don't know which one will come first. You'll see it when it arrives. But till then, take it very easy, your loyal pipe maker.